but we saw wind gusts up in the 60, 70, even 74-mile-per-hour range out here, and that's hurricane strength. Now, it's not sustained, so it never was a hurricane so far. And just about everyone in the financial field agrees that as long as Congress passes a rescue bill soon, banks can go back to doing what they're supposed to do, lend money. But even in a best-case scenario, the way you make large purchases will never again be the same. The fire spread all the way over to Everglades Boulevard behind me. The challenge no longer became trying to save the homes over there. It became trying to make sure the fire didn't spread anymore on the west side of Everglades Boulevard. 3 years after Katrina destroyed New Orleans, the Big Easy took those lessons learned and deflected the blow inflicted today. However, living in Hurricane Alley here, we know as one threat is behind us, many more lurk in the Atlantic. We've now got Hurricane Hannah, Tropical Storm Ike, and potentially Josephine in the mix too. The fifth thing you should know, kids can take free college classes while still in high school. And number 6, following these steps won't just help out your wallet, it'll also help your kids develop. Benitez took us back to his neighborhood with him, but before he could even get out of his car, one of his neighbors was offering her condolences, saying she didn't agree with the university's decision. However, then she came up to us 5 minutes later, worried that her apology was caught on tape. Many of his other neighbors appear nervous, too. They all went inside when they saw us. Their story, plus some remarkable viewer photos as the news that works for you starts right now. Media Day walks the fine line between organized chaos and uncontrollable confusion. It's easily the busiest day of the week, but it's one that a former Florida Gator would like to slow down and enjoy a little longer. The McCain-Palin advance team has been in town almost a week dealing with all of the logistics, but they never once had an answer for us when we asked a question about an overflow crowd. Turns out they didn't have any for their supporters either. Well, Len, we aren't all going to be Henry Paulson when it comes to understanding the bailout bill, but Democrats and Republicans agree that every American should know that their government isn't being frivolous with their money.
The banking collapses, the credit crisis, the reduced price signs. We could all feel the pain if something's not done soon.
This is everybody's problem. Anytime you personally reach into your wallet, pull out your credit card, you're going to end up paying significantly higher rates. You're also going to have trouble maybe getting a loan unless your credit is very good.
Bonita Springs financial advisor Aaron 70 says the $700 billion bailout is necessary to save our economy, but it's also not the blank check some people assume.
They're going to go ahead and purchase mortgages from the companies on Wall Street right now who are being completely tied up and stymied by having these assets on their books.
70 says the bailout should help banks lend money once again, and the best part, taxpayers may not even get stuck with a bill at all.
To banks, mortgages are money. The bailout plan would help the government buy troubled loans, say at 25 cents on the dollar, to help stabilize the economy. While some of the mortgages would default and be rendered worthless, if enough of them don't, they could be resold on the open market in just a few years, leaving you, the taxpayer, with the profit.
The news is even better in Southwest Florida, the heart of the housing collapse. The plan should make refinancing your home much easier if you're having trouble making payments.
There's no guaranteeing that the plan will work the way it's been drawn up, and if it fails, part of that $700 billion would be the taxpayers' responsibility. However, senators, congressmen, and financial experts all are betting that, at the very least, the bailout will both stabilize the economy and the housing market. In the studio, Noah Pransky, ABC 7 News.
Good evening, Noah. I can hear the wind.
It is pretty brutal out here. We're now entering the 21st hour of continuous rain along these Lake Okeechobee towns, and I got to tell you, the rain total's been pretty amazing out here. We've seen rain totals in the 7, 8, 9 inches area, and they really don't know exactly how much rain is falling here because those gauges that were 6 inches tall overflowed. The gauges that were 8 inches tall overflowed. So we're told somewhere in the 7 to 10 inch rain, and the water is all around here. A lot of the low-lying areas here are completely underwater, and here in the actual main city of Moorhaven, we're going to take a look right into the eye of this wind right now. It's going to get tough to see, but you can see a parking lot completely underwater, several feet, wind just sweeping over it. And not only is this a water issue like it has been throughout Southwest Florida, as we take a look just on the other side of the street, a large tree is down. It's been a big wind story here, too. The wind hitting this community much harder than it hit other areas of Southwest Florida, much like we saw it in Hurricane Wilma. Now, we're not here to say the storm is as bad as it was for Hurricane Wilma, but the wind, again, hitting these inland communities just so hard. We are even going to take an opportunity to wipe off this camera anytime we need to, so forgive us because it is pretty wet and pretty windy out here. But we saw wind gusts up in the 60, 70, even 74 mile per hour range out here, and that's hurricane strength. Now, it's not sustained, so it never was a hurricane so far, but it's a tropical storm and is really beating this community. We see some water damage, we see some wind damage. There is one good thing to pass along here, though. Lake Okeechobee. It's only at 11.5 feet right now. That's 3 feet below its current level. That should be coming up soon. Hopefully it's good enough to help the area out here and not too fast that it kills off some of the ecology of the lake. We'll continue to monitor the situation for you, but for now we're live in Moorhaven. Noah Pransky, ABC 7 News. Just into the ABC 7 newsroom, tropical depression number 9 is now Tropical Storm Ike. The National Hurricane Center says the sustained winds here are up to 50 miles per hour, and we'll get more on this storm as well as the impending strike from Hurricane Hannah later on with meteorologist Jim Clark. But first, Gustav still gusting through the bayou. After making landfall this morning in western Louisiana, millions of gallons of water rushed toward New Orleans. All eyes right now are on the rebuilt levees protecting the city, and despite the videotape we can see here of water splashing over the top of them, so far, no major breaches reported. We get more from ABC 7's Marty Johnson in Louisiana. Now, while Gustav is likely to rain itself over the next few days, our attention shifts back to the Atlantic where more threats continue to develop. ABC 7's Jim Clark works for you and has the latest on Hannah and Ike in the Precision Hurricane Center. Jim, we have a surprise today from the campaign trail. Sarah Palin, the woman John McCain tabbed as his running mate, says her 17-year-old daughter is now 5 months pregnant. The Alaska governor says her daughter, Bristol, will keep the child and will eventually marry the father. The McCain campaign says the announcement was aimed at rebutting rumors that Palin's youngest son, born in April, was actually her daughter's baby. The Republican National Convention, meanwhile, is getting underway in Minnesota, but without the scheduled pomp and circumstance. President Bush will not attend as previously planned because of Hurricane Gustav. We get more from the surroundings with St. Paul, ABC 7's TJ Winnick. Hundreds of victims of the flooding in Bonita Springs remain in a Red Cross shelter tonight. Water still sits in many streets weeks after Tropical Storm Faye washed ashore in southwest Florida. While the waters are slowly receding, today was a Labor Day that many victims won't soon forget, thanks to a Red Cross barbecue at the shelter. However, as ABC 7's Kevin Ozebek reports, the flood was merely a distraction. A mixed bag of news on the gasoline front. While Gustav temporarily shut down oil production along the Gulf, lesser than expected winds gave hope that gas prices won't soar as much as first thought. The price of oil actually dropped today, but at the pump, things are right where they left off last week. Across the country, the average cost of a gallon of unleaded is $3.69. Here in Florida, as well as Southwest Florida, it's $3.68 a gallon. A new admission by investigators searching for Kaylee Anthony. Why some say the toddler from Orlando may be dead. We've got the latest from a tension-filled Anthony home after this. In the middle of seemingly nowhere sits a peculiar little town. It's got stop signs with nothing to stop, a water park in the middle of a swamp, and a magnificent oratory that can be seen for miles around. Now, Ave Maria also has its first athletic scandal.
Shocking. They're obviously not going by the Catholic belief. I mean, the only person that can judge us is God.
Ave Maria fired basketball coach Ricky Benitez for using curse words on the court. It says it has a policy against profanity and warned Benitez twice. He says the school is lying. His players say the school is being silly.
It has a different attitude than most other universities. They have to adapt to different kinds of people and not just shun anybody who's a little bit different. It's not like he's speaking to 5-year-old children. You know, we're all grown men.
Benitez took us back to his neighborhood with him, but before he could even get out of his car, one of his neighbors was offering her condolences, saying she didn't agree with the university's decision. However, then she came up to us 5 minutes later, worried that her apology was caught on tape. Many of his other neighbors appear nervous, too. They all went inside when they saw us.
Everyone, for some reason, lives in fear here.
Much of that has to do with the fact that most of the 250 homeowners here know each other. It's still the Catholic community Ricky dreamed of.
The community is beautiful. The people are great. Our neighbors are great.
But his wife says she's done.
Not anymore. No, I don't feel comfortable anymore.
The university may have made its decision, but Benitez says he still has a job to do. After all, he promised 12 sets of parents he'd be there for their son's senior years, and he knows he can't let them down now. In Ave Maria, Noah Pransky, ABC 7 News.